Welcome to Straighten Your Crown. I am so excited about this incredible series full of role models to get you awake, aware, informed, a different perspective on what different powerful women have done to themselves, for themselves, and for others to straighten their crown. We're going to be straightening our crowns with them. They're going to help us straighten your crown. I'm very excited about this. So tune in because we're going to bring you some amazing guests. And I'm really excited for you guys to meet Tina this morning. Oh my goodness. I love meeting women who are completely okay with being super bad all day long. And so we're piling them up, collecting them, putting them in our hip pocket, putting them right next to our heart, and exposing as many of these incredible women to you as you too are super bad all day long. Listen to this. I cannot wait for you guys to meet Tina. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm so great. Listen, you guys, you're going to see some of the things about Tina go across the screen. But let me just say this to you. She is a magnificent entrepreneur with a huge history of success in Southern Florida. She's a franchise owner. And when I tell you the questions, the strategic information that she can share with us will be not bar none. I love the fact that you went into an industry, Tina, that still is something that's a force for women and still a force for African Americans. So you have really paved the way for yourself and you paved the way for so many others. But here's the other thing I love about your background is that you didn't finish or start in the same direction. An amazing teacher, an amazing motivator, an amazing history. My mom was a teacher. My sister was a teacher. I got a long history with teachers. I raised two of my own and two with my husband. So I have such an appreciation for teachers. But I also know that in order to be a strong entrepreneur, there's a lot of gifts that you have. So let me just start this way. Can you tell the audience, and do me a favor, please be 100% okay with bragging on yourself. Tell them a little bit about you, a little bit about what you've done.
Cliff Notes version. All
Okay,
right.
great. All right, great.
I grew up in Coconut Grove, Miami, Florida, back when crack initially hit the streets. My mom was a street entrepreneur.
Okay.
Her boyfriend was a street entrepreneur. Wasn't going in the right direction. My best grades were D minuses and F pluses in high school.
Wow.
And I had a chance to get out of the hood. So I moved to New York with a relative and graduated school there, had nowhere to go. And I was like, what do I do with my life now? I joined the Army Reserve, which, by the way, benefited me last year because I bought a house and was able to use my benefits.
Right.
In the Army Reserve, and then 6 months later, I needed to go somewhere. I'm like, okay, let me go back home. Maybe life calmed down for my mom. Got home, and a lot of my friends were going to college, and I'm like, college, that sounds good, right? So I took a trip with a friend, and I was like, yes, this is it. I want college. And I applied. Did terrible on the entrance exam, and the only college I was able to get accepted to was Florida A&M University, HBCU. I was excited, got my acceptance letter, went home. I was like, Mom, guess what? I got accepted to college. I'm so excited, and we leave in 2 weeks. And she thought about it, she contemplated, and she came back and said, you need to stay home. You can't just leave me. She had bills, she had obligations, she had a mindset. And I said, no, I want to go to college. So long story short, she put all my stuff on the porch, called me a few choice words, and I caught a ride with a friend and went to college anyway. Had no money, got a job at Wendy's in the salad bar. Okay.
Wow.
Free thing. That lasted 2 weeks, and I saw a sign Full ride, anybody who majors in chemistry. Now, I had no idea, Gloria. This is crazy. Chemistry, nobody was applying, right? So I had a guy in my class. I'm like, hey, let's major in chemistry. Change my major to chemistry.
No way.
Ride, money in my pocket, tuition, books, everything paid for. I
Because you
did
chose chemistry.
because I chose chemistry. I just needed money.
Right.
I didn't even have a way to pay for college. I was relying on what they call financial aid at the time,
Right.
but I didn't even understand the system.
Right.
But I changed my major, ended up taking 5 years to get a 4-year degree in chemistry, but I did get it, and I graduated. Okay, taught school for a while. That wasn't for me. Realized I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I got a job for about 6 months, got fired as a chemist. That didn't work.
Okay, wait. We got to stop right there. I got to stop right there. There's so many nuggets here, but let me start right there where you got fired.
Ooh.
Because there's a lot of people, I've heard this so many times, that the 3 worst things that can happen to you is to lose a parent, lose a spouse, and lose a job. And it doesn't matter when you lost that job. But can you take us right there? What kept you going when you got fired?
Well, it was probably one of the best things that happened to me. I didn't want to be a chemist anyway. I wanted to pay bills. It didn't fit my personality. It wasn't who I was. I am a boss. I'm a leader. I had that in me. I knew that then.
Wow.
I was selling vitamins and makeup in college, okay? Literally trying to make extra money. I'm telling you. So when I got fired, then they had a shortage for teachers. I like, okay, I'll teach. I remember how much I made, $24,600 a year. And I'm like, how does somebody live off that? Let me back up. Yeah. I had gotten pregnant and married in college. And I was like, when I left college, I was like, let me take this baby. I'm going to leave this MRS here because this is not working.
Right.
So I went through a divorce and went home with my degree and a baby, Tasha. My gift that I have now, and got a job teaching. That wasn't working for me. I loved helping the kids,
right?
But it didn't pay enough. So I taught day school. I taught night school. I was working on trying to get a master's. I'm hustling, trying to make it through.
Right.
And I met this guy at the who played football.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up getting drafted, and when he got drafted, he asked me to go to Dallas with him, Dallas Cowboys. And I'm like, I don't really want to leave home. And my mom and friends and everybody like, listen, you go ahead. What do you have to lose? You are teaching school as a single parent. So I moved to Dallas. Yeah, at $24,600 a year. Moved to Dallas, got married. It was great for about 6 good months, okay? I'm in love. I'm excited. I got a maid, Gloria. I got a butler. I got a driver. I'm like, what? I just left the hood. What is all this? I'm loving it, right? Emotionally, though, what I went through with a young Black man who came from the same type of environment, who got handed a ton of money, he didn't have any of the knowledge or skills or information to be able to be the head of a household, to be faithful, to be loyal, to be true.
Right.
So there was a lot of trauma there. Now, mind you, I left to go to New York. Remember that part of the story?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I am not staying anywhere that doesn't fit my spirit, doesn't make me feel good, doesn't seem like it's part of my destiny. So I started planning. I'm like, yo, I gotta get out of here. This ain't working either, right?
Wow.
So I opened my little business, and he's like, go ahead.
You opened your first business in Dallas?
I opened a home health care agency in Dallas in 1997. Wow. Okay. Little small company with the plan of trying to make my own money so that I could. Now I had 3 kids. Now I came with one. I had 2 children, Amber and Kevin. So now I got 3 kids, and I'm like, okay, sister, you are not going back to Coconut Grove broke with 3 babies. It's not happening. So went back to school, tried to get a master's. Wait a minute, let's talk about failure. That didn't work. I left something out. Before I went to Dallas, while I was working and teaching, I applied to law school, got accepted, was teaching during the day, trying to work at night and go to school. I flunked out of law school. So add that failure in there. All right. Then the next year I tried to get back in. They said, no, we're not letting you back in.
Wow.
You're not what we want. So when I met my ex-husband and moved to Dallas, I went to an environment where I was exposed to economics I didn't understand, but it was also more the trauma that I grew up with that I decided wasn't going to be my lifestyle,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So I worked, went back to school, said, I'm going to get a master's. Gloria, that didn't work. Okay, so I opened a home healthcare industry.
This is what I want to point out. This is so big because you said it yourself. I'm a boss. I'm a leader. But listen to how many times you became decisive and you said, this is not going to work out. I'm going to do something else. This is not going to work out. I'm going to do something else. They don't want me this way, so I'm going to do something else. I mean, I am so in love with your ability and your confidence. I say it all the time. Confidence matters. Confidence matters through all your trials and tribulations. Let me tell you this. We're going to take a really quick break. Just really break. We're going to be right back, Tina, and we're going to listen to the rest of your story. Your story is riveting, and I know that it is generating people because I'm like this, leaning in. So give us 1 second. We're going to be right back.
Our confidence is everything.
My name is Gloria Mayfield Banks. I cannot wait to go into that room, lift the energy, and meet my new friends. Give them some hardcore direction as we grow in this life together. We are in the image business. We are making a statement. When I walk in that house, they have to know I'm tremendously successful and you want me on your team. Don't ask me about my prices yet, because they too will blow you away. Most women underprice themselves. Period. But it's how you walk in there first that will make pricing not the number one priority. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for participating. I want to thank you for leaning in, grabbing my energy, giving your energy, and let's take it up together. Okay, so you were going on with the fact that that wasn't working for you. Go ahead. Tell us what's next. And
Well,
you're telling me.
let me pause for a moment, Gloria.
Okay.
So here's the thing that I realized early on, we get one life like this, right?
Yeah.
I don't know the details. I don't know the background history, but in this form, as Tina Howell, I get to do this one time.
Right.
And at some point, I decided I am going to do this life on my terms. Now, on my terms means I just want to be happy. I didn't learn who my father was until last year. My mom wasn't really present. I had a lot of stuff going on that wasn't ideal.
Yes.
But I saw other people living their best lives.
Right.
So I just decided I'm going to do what I need to do to live life on my terms and enjoy the fruits of my labor and this life. So anytime something presented itself that didn't work for me, I figured out how to make an adjustment and change it out. That's just what I don't know how.
Tina, the philosophy that women will pick up from this conversation is what I really want to highlight here. When you said, I will make the adjustment, I want to go back to that place where you made a very important decision that where you started in your life was not going to be your future. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in the mindset? Because you and I both know that a lot of people have the potential. And where I'm fired up right now is I'm so fired up because 92% of women that are working make less than $100,000 a year. And I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face, because you are a perfect example of you could have been one of those women who did less. But it's because of your decision, your mindset, your strategy. Can you take us through a little bit of your philosophies that you just started with that said, if I saw someone else doing it, I could do it as well?
I mean, someone else is doing it. That means that it's doable, right? It can
Yeah.
be done. What I realized that the hard stuff, not everybody wants to do. I know a lot of times, for example, in my marriage, I was so in love with my husband, and it was tough. When I say tough,
Yeah.
I spent 2.5 years in my marriage planning to leave, because here again, this is a young Black man. He didn't know any better. So I didn't want him to suffer when I left, but I was suffering in it. And
Right.
so for 2.5 years, I cried.
Right.
I took Valium at times. I was depressed. I
Mhm.
leaned on family and friends. But you know what? At the end of the day, I set a goal, and I did not care what it took. I was accomplishing that goal, and that was to get out and get back on track with my plan. Remember, my plan was to enjoy this life
Right.
on my terms. That
Right.
means I saw people with money. I saw people when
Right.
I was in the hood living in the projects driving nice cars.
Right.
I saw people in relationships where the woman was happy and being respected and loved and showered with
Yeah.
gifts. I was like, oh no, I need some of that. Because
Right.
what
Let
I'm
me ask you
seeing,
this question. Let me ask you this. I don't mean to cut you off. I have to ask you this because you and I know that a lot of women will say, I can do this or I can do that. I can tell by reading over and listening to you that you mastered the skill of I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to raise kids and I'm going to go to school. I'm going to stay in this marriage and I'm going to get out of this marriage. I'm going to have a home health business. Then I move on to franchise. I'm going to teach. That doesn't work for me. You know, you are a master at this and this. Can you talk a little bit about that and then quickly go into how the franchise business started? Because the
I
home
think,
health business was big as well,
okay.
right?
So I think it's a day. I say this: life is one decision at a time, one moment at a time. I didn't live those parts of my life all at once.
Right.
I made a decision. I woke up and said, this is hard. Let me have breakfast. Let me spend a few minutes with my kids. Let me go off to work. Let me network. And then at home, okay, let me do homework with my kids. Now let me study my trade. Now let me cry because I'm broken and I'm miserable. And now let me get enough rest. Let me pick one decision at a time.
Interesting. Yeah.
And what I learned was from reading, it might have been Wayne Dyer, the power is in the present moment. So
Mm.
the decision that we make in this moment, these decisions determine our future. So here I am, fast forward, I opened a home healthcare agency. It was successful. And it was from $30,000 because my ex wouldn't help me. But we got tax return money. I paid a consultant, and that consultant helped me open the company. Moving fast forward, I was
Yeah.
like, well, I got to go back home to Miami. What do I do? Well, Gloria, they didn't have Wingstops in Miami, and I still ate chicken. And I'm like, well, where am I going to get my lemon pepper wings from? Knew nothing about the restaurant. Sometimes ignorance is really bliss, okay?
Right. Right.
So now I had a little bit of money from the home health care company, and I took that and invested in the franchise business. Now, it wasn't money that helped me, it was a credit score, okay?
Talk
And
about it, please. Talk
it
about it.
was a credit score
Right.
that got me the money, and me having the 30%, because the bank would only lend me 70% to be able to make it happen. That's how I came home and opened the first Wingstop in Miami-Dade County. That was back in 2003. And now I'm at number 15.
Number 15
Yeah.
franchise. Number
Mhm.
15 franchise with
Mhm.
millions of revenue. Millions of
Yes.
revenue. And employees. Can you talk a little bit about that so that people can see how you could do something to start from nothing to build to something amazing?
So here's the other thing. What I went through was challenging, and I look back and say, okay, and I say this, people laugh, but even swap ain't no swindle. So if I do something for you, you do something for me. It's not the exact same thing.
Right.
I have a business, right? And I make great income through that business. But at the same time, I have a reputation for employing the unemployable. We got a lot of African American men coming out of prison.
Yeah.
They can't get jobs because on that application, they have to write, I am an ex-felon.
Right.
I'm like, listen, all right, are you rehabilitated? Let's look at what you did. Okay, I'm going to give you a shot. And 99% of the time, those guys leave my restaurant with a resume where they can go on and actually get an even better job. So
Wow.
I'm employing people in our communities.
Right.
I'm trying to be an example for the women. I teach them we can be sexy and not sleazy. I
Right.
do all I can.
Oh
Girl,
my goodness. Yes.
let me
Yes.
tell you, I do all I can. And this is tough too, because I like to do what I do. I make a lot of sacrifices to be an example for
Yeah.
the people who are looking at my life.
Right.
Okay. I made a lot of mistakes. This is the Cliff Notes, girl. I've lived a lot of life. You talk about jumping in and jumping out. I have courage and tenacity. If women ask me, what do I do? How, girl, don't give up. And have the courage that if you fail and get it wrong, girl, cry, do whatever you got to do, get up and keep going and try again.
Okay, so Tina,
eventually you're going to win.
Tell me, when people ask you, what are your gifts? Because what I see is what I say all the time in the super bad community is that I want women who are bold enough to turn around, grab somebody and bring them to the table. It's one thing to get to the table, but it doesn't matter if you don't bring somebody else to the table with you. That's what you're doing when you employ the unemployable. That's what you do when you teach women how to be beautiful, but not to be beneath themselves and how to raise up. So when someone says to you, Tina, what are your gifts? What is your answer?
One of them is that I taught myself discipline. I started doing drugs at 13 and smoking marijuana and drinking. I was literally in the streets, and discipline and self-control you develop. So I taught myself discipline and self-control. Perseverance. You can't give up. You don't win. Look at any game out there. You don't win until you lose or give up. And if you lose, you take so many nuggets with you to the next game that you still won. So perseverance, and always, like I said, win-win. It's not about it is about being selfish, because I'm going to take care of Tina first.
Right.
Me first. That my kids even know that. Listen, I sacrifice. Y'all are all grown now.
Right.
Everybody's 18. I come first and then everyone else. But it's a giving and receiving, setting boundaries so that people are not using.
You say so many important things. I keep going, and then because this is the thing. Women have to understand the value of putting themselves first.
Yes.
So many women get lost because they put everybody in front of them thinking they're doing the right thing. And I'm gonna tell you honestly, this came from my father. He told me, before I walked out the house, look at yourself in the mirror, because you're going to contribute to someone else's day. But more importantly, he said, take your time to do you first, Gloria, because you cannot be a good mother. You can't be a good wife. You can't be a good friend. You can't be a good sister. You can't be a good daughter until you take care of yourself first. But women don't hear that enough. And then you said something else. You said the word courage. I tell people all the time, courage is going to bring you confidence, and confidence is what brings you to choices. But you've raised women, you've raised your own women, you've raised women in the community, and then you are at a place with 15 franchises, which is mind-blowing to begin with. You have women watching you as a role model that you're not even aware of. What do you want to make sure they see when they see Tina?
You know what? I go to all these conferences and women are asking for a roadmap. Tell me specifically what to do. Let me just throw this nugget in there. The answers usually are inside. Like Gloria, you pour so much into so many people, but if I listen to you, the information you give me gets processed in my spirit.
Right.
And so I tell people, spend some time. The work starts with us. Okay, spend some time with yourself and understand your own spiritual space. And
Wow.
whatever you believe in, I'm not getting into that, but quiet time, asking for answers, being able to process information from powerful women like yourself, Gloria, and really just taking the time to self-develop from within, because there's a lot of information. I'm not going to tell you this is how you get a franchise, because guess what? Look at how much I went through to develop the character, perseverance, strength, tenacity to be able to now go in. My last Wingstop venture I did, I bought 4 Wingstops. I got 14 no's from the banks before I got a yes. I had to fail and fall to get to the point where at number 2, I was like, okay, next. At number 10, I was like, next. At number 14, I was like, okay, the last 13 gave me all the information I need. Let me put this together. By the time I got to 15, he was like, yes.
And you know what? That yes felt like the only thing you needed. The other 14 are not even part of the memory bank. It's just something that you clock so you can tell the story, but it doesn't matter anymore. Tina, how do people reach you? How do they find you? How do they follow you? How do they continue to look into you? Because I promise you, your story is one that changes people's lives.
I think she has something to put up. Social media. That's the best.
You guys, you have to stay in touch with her as we continue with this Straighten Your Crown. Can you even imagine that one person has such a huge impact? I always tell people it's not your influence, it's your influence and your impact. And Tina, you have been beyond my wildest expectation when it comes to bringing on women who can straighten other women's crowns. Thank you so much. And your legacy continues to be built.
Thank you.